my commissioners together. If we would rise, please, for an invocation. Let us pray. As we enjoy this fall, let us have concern for those citizens who are suffering because of the current economic conditions. Give us the wisdom to make decisions that will benefit all of our citizens. While the times are challenging, I think you have also provided us with great opportunities at this time. And as always, watch over those who protect us both here and abroad. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Cross. Here. Commissioner Derazinski.
Here.
Commissioner Engel.
Here.
Commissioner Jaeger.
Here.
Commissioner Longmire.
Present.
Chairman Mahoney.
Here.
Commissioner Plummer.
Here.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Here.
Vice Chairman Snyder.
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins. Here. 11 present.
Thank you. We're at 5 for approval of the agenda. I would like to add under committee reports number 10 a C for a public works report.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the amended agenda. Any other changes? None. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Number 6, we need a motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 11th.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Engel, seconded by Commissioner Longmire to approve the meeting minutes of October 11th. Any concerns, changes? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Number 7, we have a presentation from Mr. Ed Garner concerning the West Michigan Economic Development Partnership in Muskegon Area First. Mr. Garner.
Thank you, Commissioner Mahoney and fellow commissioners. Ed Garner, Muskegon Area First. And today with me, I have Mr. Rick Chaplin from Right Place Inc. over in Grand Rapids, my counterpart over there. Today we'd like to come before you to give you a brief presentation on what's called the Next Michigan Development Corporation. We feel this is a unique opportunity. It's regional in nature, that only 5 communities or 5 regions throughout the state is going to have the opportunity to apply for it, really to get one of these. So we've been talking to the administrators of both counties in regards to this, and a number of local communities in regards to this act. And our goal is to really try to submit an application to the state to see if we can actually get one of them. So I want to take a minute just to walk you through it for informational purposes and answer any initial questions at this particular time. The Next Michigan Development Corporation Act was actually passed from the prior administration. It was passed in December of 2010, and what it did was enact what was called Public Act 275, which basically is going to create 5 regional collaboratives to be able to apply certain incentives to specific pieces of properties within that region. It requires that you at least have 2 communities, at least, so it has to be 2 counties involved. The county government has to be involved, and at least 1 core city has to be involved in each community to make this work. Mr. Rick Chaplin took the lead in this and contacted the state on behalf of our region. Approached me as the head of Muskegon Area First about collaborating with this as well to try to put some things together. This act was designed really to be able to offer certain incentives to specific pieces of property, primarily that offers more than 1 mode of transportation. So we're talking rail, road, water, and we know we have all 3 of those here, air as well on that. In particular, our water resources came up in these discussions. Our criteria for these particular parcels that may be included in this initiative would include parcels that is at least 35 acres or more, contiguous, at least 2 modes of transportation, as I spoke of, and at least within 1 mile of a major roadway. So those are criteria that we set. on this. It was basically designed that this act, which you would have to basically incorporate, come up with a new entity called a Next Michigan Development Corporation, and we kind of came up with a little name for that as the West Michigan Economic Development Partnership. This would actually be a new entity that was given certain rights and powers to the state to apply certain things to these particular properties. We feel it's only going to be, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to only be a handful of properties within the two communities, Kent County, Muskegon County, that would apply to this. But what it does, it gives us an extra push to be able to market these properties and hopefully attract some developments to these particular properties over and above what's currently being done today. Properties that naturally would kind of be included would be properties along our port, North County Business Park. Let me skip around a little bit. North County Business Park. Bear Crop Science has been considered. I know we did have some discussions with the Airport Business Park as well in regards to that, but I think we decided at that time that we may not move forward with that one, but there were some discussions there. But two or more modes of transportation that we can get some extra push on. This is really kind of the innovative approach that they're taking with the state. And really, it's kind of, I consider it almost kind of like a pilot program in some regards, because they're only going to create 5, 2 of already of which are kind of designated already. One on the east side of the state and one a little bit further to the north of us. So it really leaves 3 on the table. So what happened was we had to submit a notice of intent. Mr. Chapman wrote that up, submitted it to the state. They came out and took a look and talked to the group initially to see what properties we may get included with that. And we've now been invited to submit a full application at our own time framework. We're trying to get something in by the end of the year if possible. If not, we'll get it in as soon as possible. But I listed several properties here that I think would qualify for that in there. You also see some that's in Grand Rapids, the old GM stamping plant. I know the Kent County Airport has a desire to get involved with this, and then some other properties as well. So I want to explain what that was about. So what we've done to get the process started, we've been having a number of meetings with county officials and local officials. We did information sessions. We sent out notices to every community, to all the communities to say, if you think somebody has something that qualified for this, come and hear about a little bit more what this is about. We're thinking we may be able to apply some tools and some incentives that may actually go away with the new administration, such as Renaissance zones, which are going away, brownfield development grants, and some other things of this nature that may be applied to these particular parcels. If not, we're still kind of figuring out at the state level. It may result in that, or it may result in being no more than a gigantic, big marketing push to help try to get these properties and attract different investments to them. Companies that will be targeted will be logistics sensitive companies that probably are moving big products, making huge components that really is hard to move just over one mode of transportation. You need to ship them by rail and put them on a boat, or put them on the road and ship them by rail. So logistics sensitive companies will really be the targets for this. The state really has committed in the legislation that they're supposed to put additional efforts to these properties too, as well to the MEDC. And then locally, we would need to figure out the group that's participating. We need to figure out what efforts they want to do, because there would be some cost involved in putting marketing materials together and the like. So what you're getting, naturally, we as Muskegon and First represent